Well, let's bring in the leader of the Green Party of Canada, Elizabeth May, to the program now. Ms. May, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Michael.
Listen, I first want to get your reaction to Steven Guilbeault and his decision late this afternoon to resign from the Carney government, and while doing so, really expressing his opposition to the MOU that was signed today. What's your reaction to his resignation?
Honestly, I'm heartbroken because I know how tough this was for him. I don't know how many people in the audience would know we're old friends, and I'd, at various times wondered how he'd stuck it out with different cabinets. Like, when the Justin Trudeau Liberals were building a pipeline, I was wondering, how is Stephen standing this? I know how hard a decision this must have been for him, and all I can feel is I'm very emotional about it because this is a really tough and horrible thing for a human being to go through, who'd put so much of himself into believing in that team and that this would work out. And I know that there were elements of the budget that were negotiated with me that were broken in the MOU today, which made it very hard for me. But that's nothing compared to when you're a minister in a cabinet. And I just hope Canadians will look at Steven Guilbeault and remember how we felt when Jody Wilson-Raybould showed the courage to quit the Trudeau cabinet. I think political courage, for viewers who may not have always agreed with Steven on things, but this took guts, and I really want to honor his political courage in a very tough moment today.
You mentioned the budget, and I was going to ask you about that because I wondered, given his resignation and what we saw today with the MOU, does it make you reconsider your decision to support the Carney budget just 10 days ago?
Well, no, it doesn't, because I have acted on principle throughout, and I felt that we had achieved a substantial commitment from the Prime Minister to strive to achieve the Paris Agreement. I took him at his word. I don't think it speaks well if he doesn't think his word is worth anything. And I hope that he will I don't know where we go from here. I mean, Steven Guilbeault quitting cabinet quite dashes any hope I had that the Prime Minister was serious about climate action when he made that pledge. Because some of the things that are in the MOU today actually violate the budget I was able to vote for because of changes that were made in carbon capture and storage. The budget made it clear that you could not get federal subsidies for what's called enhanced oil recovery using carbon capture and storage, which is trying to shoot the carbon dioxide underground into places where it can be geologically secure and doesn't come back out to the atmosphere. That's a dicey proposition and doesn't work completely perfectly, and it's very expensive. All those things said, the budget made it clear that you could not get a subsidy for enhanced oil recovery, which is to say, when you take it a step further than storage and use shooting the carbon dioxide underground to loosen some of the oil that you otherwise couldn't get. So there's some very significant, although obviously smaller details that nobody really heard about in the budget. But I negotiated my vote for commitments, and obviously holding to below 2 degrees Celsius global average temperature increase and the Paris Agreement is a critical commitment, and it's hard to know how you'd ever get there if you build more pipelines and expand more oil production.
Except that, and forgive me for jumping in, but except that the Prime Minister does make the argument, Ms. May, that in order to bring about an energy transition, Canada at the end of the day needs money to pay for the changes necessary, and oil and gas plus carbon capture is what the Prime Minister suggests is a way to get the resources in order to bring about a cleaner economy. What do you say to that?
Your word has to mean something. And when the budget specifically said there will be no subsidies for enhanced oil recovery, and 10 days later, a deal with the Alberta Premier breaks that, there's some larger questions at play here. And of course, you have to have an economy that succeeds. And we can have a decarbonized economy. We get about 3% of our GDP from oil and gas, and we need to enhance and expand our economic sovereignty, our wealth, and our ability to push back on Trump's tariffs. There's a lot we can do, and we don't depend on destroying the future for our children to get there. So I'm sorry, there's no photo op between Mark Carney and Daniel Smith that's worth my granddaughter's future, period. And we have an economy that's diversified. We need new trading partners. I'm also quite worried about the Prime Minister trying to get enhanced and expanded trade with countries like United Arab Emirates or Saudi Arabia, countries that don't respect human rights. We need to work with countries that share our values. That's a different question, but it's been disturbing. The last 10 days have had very tough moments. But I don't regret how I voted.
So can the government rely on your vote going forward? Because the budget's been accepted, but the implementation is still in the works. Are you going to vote against the implementation of the budget?
Yes, but not just because of the betrayal today. The Budget Implementation Act, I gave a speech on that on the floor of the House of Commons today. The Budget Implementation Act, as an omnibus bill at over 600 pages, has some sections with which I would agree, but if you have to vote on the whole package, there's so much there that's really worrying that separate from my vote on the Budget Implementation Act, which wasn't tabled when I voted on the Budget Implementation Act at over 600 pages, is an omnibus budget bill that is very anti-democratic at its core. Mm-hmm. Just the process of saying we're going to pass all these acts all at once and you don't get time to study them is something that is at another level altogether than the MOU.
Very quickly, running out of time. I have 30 seconds, but I want to ask you, we began with Steven Guilbeault. Will you be making a formal outreach to him to join the Green Party?
Of course. I said it. I found out he'd left cabinet while I was in the midst of a press conference virtually with the press gallery, and they asked what I would say to Stephen, and I said, join the Green Party right away. Because
are you going to follow that up with a phone call tonight?
Well, I would say joining the Greens, we don't have whip votes. Any Liberal MP who feels betrayed by this, come join us. You can vote for every Liberal bill that comes. You can vote the Liberals all that you want, but stand up for climate. And if you're a BC MP, stand up for the BC coast and stand in solidarity with coastal First Nations. You can serve in Parliament and serve your constituents, and you'll get reelected.
Elizabeth May, I'm sorry I'm out of time, but thank you for joining us.
Thank you.